Greetings. Welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It's Saturday, February 1st, 2025, and on Saturdays we talk about sports and humor, sometimes a little bit of both. Today I want to take us back to the year 2019. Two of the teams that I'd followed in basketball did something that they'd never done previously and haven't done since. It's a remarkable coincidence, and it helps explain why I'm not quite as interested in sports or basketball as I used to be. Quite the fanatic growing up and coached basketball for 35 years as well. And now pretty much in retirement with respect to basketball. I still follow the sport a bit, but not nearly as much as I used to. Today's video will help explain why to some degree, but it's also a celebration of, again, a remarkable coincidence of events. So I want to talk first then about the men's basketball tournament, the NCAA Division I Championship, March Madness. Again, just focusing on the men today, not the women. And the reason being because the University of Virginia Cavaliers are not known or haven't historically been known as the greatest basketball school in the world. You think of UCLA in the 1970s, you think of Duke, you think of Kentucky or in Indiana, and more recently the University of Connecticut, which last couple of years won the NCAA men's championship, and previous to that they've won several women's championships as well. But the University of Virginia has had some success over the years, and certainly if you go back to the years of the great Ralph Sampson, who attended school when I was there, at least in part. So I got to see him play a little bit. But fast forward then to 2018, and by then the University of Virginia Cavaliers had an excellent basketball team. And in fact, going into the 2018 men's tournament, they were 31-2, uh, ranked number one. They were number one seed, and unfortunately, they made history for the wrong reasons that year. They were the first men's number one basketball seed to lose in the first round to the number 16 seed. In this case, it was the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and they lost big. It was tied at halftime, but they ended up losing the game 74-54. Now, in 2019, they brought back many of the same players, had another incredible team, and they certainly sought redemption for what had happened the previous season. So another stellar season. They were 29-3 going into the tournament. And this time, that is in 2019, they beat they beat Gardner Webb in the first round of the tournament, 71-56. Although there was a bit of a scare early on. They were actually down 14 points early in the first half, at some point in the first half, like 28-14. But they came back, took over the game, and won comfortably. So that's great. Um, and then in the second round, they handled Oklahoma fairly solidly, not too much difficulty. They won 63-51, and thus they advanced to the Sweet 16. Their third game of the tournament was quite close, but with the game tied at 45, future NBA player Ty Jerome hit a three-pointer, and that put the Cavs in front for good. They ended up winning 53-49 to advance to the quarterfinals, sometimes referred to as the Elite Eight. And that's where the cray-cray took over. So I'm going to show a little bit of video as well to help, share exactly what happened. And it's really amazing stuff if you think about it. But the team was playing Purdue, okay, and this is the quarterfinals. And by all accounts, they were trailing late in the game, and they had very little chance at winning this particular game. But I want to show you what happened. Okay, so to set the stage, Purdue was up by 2 points, 69-67, with 17 seconds remaining. Okay. At that point, Virginia fouled one of their players, Ryan Klein, who went up and made the first of his free throws to give them a 3-point lead. And then he missed his second free throw. Virginia got the rebound. They pushed the ball back up the floor. They were trying to get a good shot. And unfortunately, that wasn't working out for them. And as it turns out, the Purdue team ended up fouling Ty Jerome. the aforementioned, and he was heading to the free throw line, though only to shoot two shots, not three. It was a 2 point shot that he was fouled on, or they fouled him intentionally at that point. And so the bottom line is he had to go up to the free throw line and make the first one to bring them within two, and then miss the next one intentionally with the hope that Virginia could get the rebound and get a quick basket to tie it up. So now I'm going to switch views and show you exactly what happened. So this is starting with Ty Jerome trying to, or intentionally missing the free throw.
Short, back tap, Diakite, a race for it, into the hands of Clark, got a chance to win it here, up the front, here's Diakite for the win, goes! For the tie, Diakite!
Diakite, he sees the time, he floats it up over the outstretched arms of harm. This is what you have to love. This is what the tournament is about.
Down to 5. Jerome's got to go. Jerome splits it. Jerome up high off the window. He scores! What a bucket by Ty Jerome.
Jerome, but on the other end, Jerome getting anywhere he wants to for the flip shot.
Okay, so now that's in overtime, but preceding that, the first minute or so that I showed you there, what's incredible is that Jerome missed the free throw, and then Diakite tips the ball back. Now you have to remember at this point they have less than 5 seconds, so he tips the ball back and it goes all the way into the back court. So the ball has to be run down, and at that point, basically the guy Kihei Clark grabs the ball. He throws a long pass forward to Diakite, and at that point, Diakite catches the ball, if you slow this down, with less than a second remaining in the game, about 0.7. And in one motion, he has to catch and then shoot the ball. And again, he releases the ball with 0.3 seconds left. And indeed, as you see, the ball goes in. He makes the shot as time expires. So that ties the game up. The overtime itself was also quite close, as it turns out. And indeed, the Cavs were down early on in the overtime. They ended up tying the game with about a half minute to go. And the Cavs ended up then fouling, or not fouling, sorry. This guy, Carson Edwards, misses a three-pointer with 5 seconds left. They foul Kyle Guy immediately. He hits both free throws, and after another turnover, Purdue fouls again. Cavs hit another two free throws, and they end up winning the game 80-75. But it was really back and forth right up until that last half minute of the game. Okay, so they managed to survive that particular scare, and this, of course, allows them to advance to the Final Four. Now, the semifinal game is against Auburn. Okay, and this is in some ways perhaps an even crazier game. Virginia trailed by 4 points, 61-57, with less than 10 seconds remaining. And so here's what happened in that crazy game.
They don't have a speed guy to go to the rim.
Got to hurry now. Shot from the corner goes down the one with 6.5.
11 for 11 from the line against Kentucky. How about this shot, though, to keep him in it?
Tell you, his toughest shot all night. Kyle Guy knocking down that three.
Jerome to inbound.
They got the lob.
Looking. It's Guy from the corner for the win. Hold on. Did I hear a whistle?
Wow.
We got a foul call.
Desperation shot from the other corner.
So if you didn't catch that, okay, they were down by 4. Kyle Guy hits a three-pointer to take them to within 1. At this point now, they go back. Auburn makes one free throw because the Virginia fouled them, so now it's 62-60. Virginia gets the ball back, and you see the time they're left on the clock, 0.6. Kyle Guy had took another shot from the corner, and just by you could question the call, but it did look like the Auburn player hit him. And so basically he fouled him then with, as you see there, 0.6, less than 1 second to go. So again, it looked like Virginia was almost certainly going to lose, but then Kai has to step forward, and Kyle Guy has to step forward, and he has to take the 3 free throws. And here's what happens.
Wow. 81%.
He's tied it.
Wow, this is unbelievable.
For the lead. He got all 3.
Urgence.
He's got Brown all the way in the far court. Might as well heave it all the way the distance. A Grant Hill pass. Here it is. Brown turns around. It's off the mark. And Virginia is heading to its first ever national championship game appearance.
Again, I couldn't believe it watching that game. So they managed to pull out back-to-back, seemingly impossible last-second wins against Purdue and then against Auburn, and they then advanced to the championship game. And in the final, it was another nail-biter. Virginia ended up leading for much of the game against Texas Tech, but then Tech heated up in the last 5 minutes of regulation, and then they actually took a 3-point lead with about 20 seconds left. So again, it looked bad, not impossible, not as bad as the previous 2 games, but now Virginia's down 3 with less than 20 seconds to go in regulation. And here's what happens in the championship game.
Gotta go fast.
Jerome gives it up. Far side. Hunter hits the 3 to tie it. Oh my goodness, with 12 seconds remaining.
Hunter continues with his great play in the second half, knocks down that corner 3.
And what happens a lot, great defense, sometimes over helps. A good reaction is at a dribble. You're looking to help your partner out, but a wide open knockdown jumper.
8 seconds, they're going to play it out. Culver pulls up 3, off the mark, rebound Hunter.
They look for a timeout.
They look for a timeout, didn't go with the ball.
That guy was pointing for the timeout. They threw the ball to him.
And Hunter there,
Wow. So they've tied the game up now, 68 all. Texas Tech misses, obviously, the rebound. Hunter gets the rebound. And then he wants to give it to Guy for an outlet pass. And then they've got a chance maybe to win the game. Now, while he's doing that, Kyle Guy has turned and he's tried to get to the referee's attention. He's trying to call a timeout. And now, again, the game's tied, but he throws the ball away. It goes back to Texas Tech. Here's what happens.
he tried to set an outlet pass to Guy. All he had to do was hold the basketball in that scenario.
The inbounds throw, looking for something. To the corner, Culver shot blocked by Key, and we have overtime for the national championship.
A stop on the defensive end. Key makes a clean block. We got overtime.
All right. Buckle it up, boys.
Indeed. So the game does go into overtime, and it's actually fairly close. Well, at least initially. But then Virginia in overtime goes on an 11-0 run, and that basically puts the game away. They end up winning the championship 85-77, their first and only men's Division I basketball championship, and that happened on April 8th, 2019. And then my other team, my professional team, the Toronto Raptors, started their playoff run 5 days later on April 13th, 2019. Okay. And on that day, they actually lost their first playoff game to Orlando. Then they went on to win the next 4 and captured the series 4-1. The Raptors then in the second round battled tooth and nail with the Philadelphia 76ers. And perhaps most incredibly, they went all the way to Game 7, the deciding game for that particular series. And that game, with the score tied at 90, came right down to the final possession. And Raptors fans and even casual fans may be familiar with this one, but here's what happened with the score tied at 90, Game 7, Round 2, Philadelphia versus at Toronto. And you can see 4.2 seconds left in the game. And here's what happened there.
against the Sixers.
Here, if you're Philly.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
This moment is why the Raptors traded for Kawhi, a game-winning buzzer beater in Game 7 to finish with 41 points on the night.
Now you heard the commentator there. Kawhi ended up winning that game. The ball had to bounce 4 times on the rim before he fell through. I actually remember my wife and I were out for dinner. It was a birthday dinner on my part, and so we were kind of just glancing over at the television screen, and I jumped out of my seat when I saw that happen. My wife was like, "What? What are you doing?" It was just so shocking. But watching that ball bounce 4 times on the rim and then falling through, and yeah, that was the game winner. So that was Kawhi Leonard's 40th and 41st points, and the two most important points, arguably, in Raptor history, because that sent them to the conference finals. All right. And then in the conference finals, the Raptors actually lost their first 2 games in Milwaukee, who was the number one conference seed at that time. And then they needed double overtime, some might not remember, in game number 3 to win their first game of that series, which they did. And they won the next game a little more comfortably. And then they went on to win the next 2 as well. So they ended up defeating the Milwaukee Bucks 4 games to 2. And as a result, headed to the championship to play the vaunted Golden State Warriors. And so in the finals, then, they were meeting Golden State, the 2 time defending champ. In fact, Golden State had won the championship 3 of the last 4 years. The only year that they lost, they should have won. It was their record setting season where they won the most games in NBA history. But unfortunately for them, I mean, they went 73-9. And they were up 3-1 in the finals that year, but that was the year that LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers made that unbelievable comeback, and Cleveland ended up winning that championship. So anyway, heading into this championship series, Golden State had won 3 of 4 championships, and they were the 2 time defending champs. And so you weren't expecting the Raptors to necessarily win, especially in light of Golden State's firepower. The Raptors did benefit, however, from injuries. So Kevin Durant was struggling to come back from injury, and then he was actually on fire when he did finally come back and play against the Raptors, but he got hurt. So he was out, and then Klay Thompson eventually went down with an injury as well. All of which is to say then that they ended up beating Golden State 4 games to 2 for the championship. Again, a depleted Golden State roster to be sure, but that's the way it goes. So they ended up winning their first and only NBA championship just a couple of months after Virginia won. So that was on June 13th of 2019. And remarkably, they won, that is the Raptors, they won all 3 of their away games. They only went 1 and 2 at home, but they won all 3 of their away games to win the series and take the championship 4 games to 2. Again, I share these with you because for me, the 2019 was the year of basketball. I don't know that anything could top it, at least for me personally, because my college team, my University of Virginia, won their first and only men's basketball championship, and then my beloved Toronto Raptors won their only championship, and they're far from that this year. they're a shell of what they used to be in this rebuilding phase. I never understood that. I'm not sure how long does the rebuilding take. And Virginia as well has dipped significantly. They didn't lose their coach. Their coach retired, who took them to the championship. A guy by the name of Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett. No, not the singer. A different Tony Bennett. But he retired, and they're a 500 team or so this year, looks like. So anyway, 2019 was a banner year. And by the way, just as icing on the cake, that was also the year that the Washington Nationals baseball team, I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, the Washington Nationals won the MLB championship, the World Series, later that summer or early fall as well. So that was the championship year, 2019, at least for yours truly. I just wish I could have somehow parlayed a bet or laid down $100 on the likelihood, like before anything began, on the likelihood of, and it would only pay off if both the University of Virginia won a championship and the Toronto Raptors won the championship. Who knows how much that would have been worth? But again, you'll know from an earlier video that I did, I'm not a bettor as such. There's just too many variables, too many incredible finishes and unexpected endings and so forth. But that's sometimes why we love sports. All right, that's it for today. And yeah, we'll hope to see you tomorrow. In the meantime, as ever, may you and yours continue to create uh, peace in your lives and nurture love in your hearts. And we'll see you soon. Bye bye.